Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Sustainability Cafe, the brand new podcast channel from Waste and Recycling Magazine. I'm Kirtana, the editor of the magazine. On this show, we dive deep into the inspiring tales and daring journeys of entrepreneurs and top professionals who have made significant contribution to waste and recycling industry. We believe these stories will inspire more and more individuals to tread the path of sustainability. And today, we are joined by Dr. Dakir El Rabaya, the CEO of BR Recycling. Dr. Dakir, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
The first assignment which I had to do when I joined Waste and Recycling was the inauguration of Waste to Energy project of BR. And I learned about the company, and I'm fascinated by its journey. It started off in 2007 as a waste management company, and today it has emerged as a sustainability leader in the MENA region. So from being a waste management company, it has entered into renewable energy, green mobility, and even education and technology. How do you see this growth? And also tell us, let's start off with your journey with the BR, how it started, and what inspired you to get into the field of waste and recycling.
Very interesting. The first thing that I would like to start with is talk a little bit about BR as a company.
Yeah.
As you said, BR was established in 2007 as a Sharjah-based company based on PPP model, public-private partnership. And the idea was to combine the agility of private sector with the social responsibility of the government sector, put them together to manage waste in a very socially responsible way. I joined in 2010 as a technical specialist to manage one facility which was back then responsible to recycle construction and demolition waste. In 2010, that was a very ambitious task to recycle construction waste into useful material for building industry. So it kept us busy for a while, and then we started to move on to fulfill other tasks that I'm sure we will talk about a little bit later.
Sure.
When you talk about how BR evolved, I think it was an organic and natural way. So we started as a waste management company, and we were very focused on moving waste and having solutions to deal with it in a socially responsible way. But as we grew, the vision of the Emirate leadership evolved, and the vision of BR leadership evolved. And the reason why you see BR now entering a lot of other activities is that the vision was changed. The vision was changed from being an integrated waste management company into a company that improves the quality of life.
Yeah.
In a city. When you talk about quality of life, you talk about waste, you talk about air, water, healthcare, accessible technologies, etc. And that's how BR transformed from a waste management company into a group that tackles many aspects, and I'm sure we will have time to talk about it.
Sure. How did your journey started, and how did the shift from, I think you were working in a different field and then you moved on to waste management and recycling. Could you talk more on that?
My bachelor degree was in electrical engineering.
Yeah.
Then I went through training in a very big steel factory in Russia. Then I continued my master's degree in instrumentation and instrument engineering. Then I continued in the field of instruments, automation, programmable logic controllers. I had very interesting experience working in big factories back then, modifying with team of engineers the mechanical, electromechanical controllers in big steel and pipe manufacturing companies into programmable controllers with sensors, SCADA control system. It was new back then, and it was a very fashionable thing to do. Then I moved to do the same in Jordan, in steel manufacturing company. And I don't want to tell you much details, but suddenly I was approached by a team from United Arab Emirates, where they offered me to join them to work in the Emirates in waste management. Believe it or not, I didn't think much. I saw that it was something new. Something told me that this is future, this is a new idea. I said, okay, without understanding why they wanted me to join. When I came to the Emirates, I found more and more about it. It was maybe one of the most ambitious plans ever in UAE for waste management. It was about building a fully automated household sorting facility.
Okay.
And it was amazing. So everything was sorted automatically. Steel, aluminum, plastics, paper, carton. The amount of automation that was put in one place was a reference to be made. And it was very interesting and very ambitious for me. And this was my starting journey in waste management. Being the specialist who could put all this together meant that I might be one of few people who knows how to deal with this equipment to improve its efficiency. So I went from automation to production. The equipment need to be maintained, so I had to control the maintenance, and I ended up being the operations manager for this complex. From there, I started my journey in waste management.
It has been a wonderful journey, I'm sure. So could you go back in time and think about what was one of your memorable projects or breakthrough initiatives that you led in BIA, and probably which you considered as a turning point for you or the company?
First of all, the amount of trust that I was given in BIA is unmatched during my work experience. So the first thing is, at BIA, I found the leadership that gives a lot of credit,
Right.
and the possibility to work and make mistakes. The most challenging thing that we ever done in BIA when it comes to waste treatment and disposal was the zero waste strategy.
Yeah.
I would like to say that it was not the first thing to be done for the first time in the region at BIA, but this was one of the biggest challenges. We did hundreds of charts. We scrapped dozens of proposals. We were trying to build something that was not done before. You never have any such concept in the world where you put all the waste management technology in one place. You convert this place into an industrial area. All the waste generated in a city like Sharjah, we're talking about 1.5 million people living in this city, generating more than 3 million tons a year of waste. And you need to get all this waste through one gate, single gate. And you need to ensure after some time that none of this waste ends up in landfill. It took us around a year and a half to put all this together, to debate, to brainstorm,
Right.
to have tough discussions. But now, looking at it, talking to some of my previous colleagues who work in other countries or doing other businesses, when they visit me, I tell them, you remember what we did on paper? Look at it. It's almost working in the same manner that we were thinking of and the same way that we approved.
That must be having a very proud moment for you.
For everyone.
Yeah.
For everyone, of course.
So I actually wanted to ask you about the challenges, but I think kind of you addressed it before. But what was that very daunting or the hard to crack challenge that you had, apart from this, if you could tell me about any of the challenges that you faced and what lesson you learned from it?
Okay, so let me talk about the challenges first.
Yeah.
And I think these challenges will be faced by any organization in our region that would want to follow similar path or reach similar results. The first challenge, fundamental challenge in waste management and environment protection is the delegation of responsibilities. A lot of people confuse waste management with environment protection or environment engineering.
Right.
So they expect an environmentalist to be making a profit while protecting the environment. And they also expect a waste management company to be very keen to achieve social and environmental KPIs, putting their profits and revenues down in the priority list, like priority number 3, 4, 5.
Right.
I'm a waste manager. So I had to do what I had to do, making sure that this is economically making sense. On the other hand, BEA Group has social mandate, environmental mandate, and this mandate has to be met. This is one challenge. The second challenge is the conflict of interest when waste management as a task is fragmented.
Yeah.
So you are a waste generator. Your task for yourself and your family is to pay as less as possible for your waste.
Yeah.
So if we imagine that there are 100 waste management companies in your region, all of them offering you service to collect the waste, you will go with the cheapest. The waste collection company has a task to collect as much as possible per trip because they charge per ton. Okay? When you go along the supply chain and the value chain, you find that it is full of financial and economic interest, and you end up with the government having one target, which is the social and environmental aspect of waste management. And how do you align that? So that was number one. How we solved it? We solved it by being an integrated waste management company. So we take care of it from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Our zero waste journey starts with you. So we know what kind of bin we have to give you. We know how we need to collect it, when we need to collect it, and how to collect it. Even overpressurized compactor that is compacting the waste more to make transportation more feasible would negatively affect our zero waste journey. So owning all this cycle and all this chain was the solution to tackle this challenge. The second challenge was what I would call the cheap alternative. So wherever you go in the Middle East, you would find that if I calculate my options financially, the cheapest way is to send waste to landfill.
Yeah.
You take it from here, you put it in a landfill, cover it with some sand, forget about it, and that's it. So we had to do our homework to convince everybody that's not the case. Because this landfill is going nowhere. It's your problem for ages to come. So actually, the cost of sand and diesel and a couple of people managing this issue is not the real cost. And in 2016, we modified our tipping fee, what we call tipping fee, or what we call a gate fee sometimes.
Yeah.
So you pay per the ton. And our gate fee was not only high back then, it was also segmented. So if you bring waste that can be recycled easier, you would be paying less or paying nothing. But if you bring waste that is more challenging for the recycling and the elimination, you would pay more. I would tell you that in 2016, we were blamed by everybody. We heard something like, you will scare everybody, all people will take the waste from Sharjah to other places, etc. Now, we are not the most expensive. We might be even the cheapest.
Right.
But what distinguishes us, among others, is that our tipping fee didn't change since then. So it was only one time. When you come to our waste management complex, you will see a big board. This material pays tipping fee of X dirham. That material pays X dirham. For some material you get paid, actually, because it is almost a recyclable material.
Okay.
So we give you an incentive for bringing this material separated from the source. So this cheap alternative was already tackled. And the last challenge was changing the way of thinking. So at BIA, if you ask our landfill waste manager, what is your end goal? He would tell you, my end goal is for my department to disappear. My goal is for me to be jobless. And during the whole journey in BIA, each person who was handling landfill was given the same task. In his first interview with me, I was telling him, remember, as long as there is landfill, you're not achieving your KPI.
It's wonderful. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Now we have a plan to convert the existing landfill, because remember, zero waste, zero landfill. So the existing landfill that we have is not required anymore, or very soon it will not be required anymore. So we want to convert it into a solar farm, producing more than 100 mega of sustainable energy.
Okay. Yeah. So what inspired the vision Zero Waste for BIA, and what role do you think this target will play in the larger scheme of things, say climate change or environmental sustainability?
Okay. So Zero Waste was announced in 2013. Yeah, 2013 by our top management. And the reason was, as I told you, is that there should be an end result for waste management.
Right.
And it didn't look right to have the accumulation of waste in a landfill as an ultimate target for waste management. It just doesn't work. It didn't work that all what you need to do in waste management is to collect it all in one place. It also didn't work. It looked right back then, and it was very visionary by BIA leadership and the leadership of Sharjah to say, okay, let's have one goal, that waste should disappear. How do we do that? And we started all the zero waste journey that we have just been talking about. Again, everybody was skeptical. Declarations, everybody was saying that it's just another announcement by another government. Till recent times, when people started to see the numbers, the contribution of BIA Group, not only to Sharjah, but to the United Arab Emirates and the region, is huge. We are not invited anymore to participate in tenders. Tender to build this facility or that facility or waste management. Almost everybody is shying away from just building another facility. Everybody is saying, come solve my problem, which is related to waste. Nobody is asking BIA now to come and build a landfill, manage a landfill, build a sorting facility here or recycling facility there. None of the other models have proven themselves to be life-worthy. The only model that is achieving the ultimate target is a model where you have social environmental responsibilities and legislative power combined with the agility of the private sector coming together, expertise in the operations from here, expertise in the other field from there, working hand in hand, having an ultimate target to reach zero waste, integrating the full supply and value chain, focusing on one simple target, trusting each other for a long period, and delivering the final result.
All right. So recently you had mentioned on LinkedIn that in 2023, industrial waste, BIA has achieved 100% diversion from landfill. Could you elaborate on the success story?
Yeah. So when we started all this journey, as I said, the management was giving a lot of credit of trust, which is very important. But from our side, as specialists, we were very honest and clear. There are things, we were very clear that there are things that can be achieved on our own. But there are other aspects that needed either tens of years of learning and making mistakes, or by collaboration. And we agreed on the type of activities that BIA will grow in-house and the other type of activities that BIA will do in collaboration with the companies that own best practices.
Okay.
So when it comes to things like industrial and hazardous waste, mostly people would be either neutralizing them or burning them, which is another way of neutralization, actually. In our case, we have chosen a combination, an explosive combination of technologies, where we almost return 100% of the industrial and hazardous waste back to the economy,
Okay.
replacing either energy resources or raw material. And in this combination, we are gradually transforming such industries like cement industries into a sustainable hub,
Yeah. Right.
believe it or not. So cement factory is replacing its minerals with mineral elements that we extract from industrial and hazardous waste. They don't need to go to the crushing plant, which is 200 kilometers away. Same time, they don't need to use as much natural gas and coal, because we are replacing both
Okay.
with alternative fuel.
Yeah.
And we become so dependent on each other that we almost become one fully integrated activity.
Right. All right. So you must have observed the industry for the past 15 years, almost 15 years. How do you envision the future of the waste and recycling industry?
Well, I would say some general trends that I can see now.
Yeah.
I think in 5 to 10 years from now, the sustainability will not be a pushing activity anymore. The end user will be demanding more sustainable and more environmentally friendly services and products. And then all the companies will turn into BIA or something similar to BIA. There is no other way. The second thing that I can foresee right now is that sustainable solutions and circular economy is going to be more and more affordable. Right now, in some cases, you still look at it as a premium option.
Yeah.
That you have to price differently, it has to cost you more. This is not going to be the case. The more and more research and the more and more economic and financial work is put into these activities, the more it would be prevalent that waste is a very luxury option. Environment pollution is a very expensive
Right.
alternative, and it is cheaper to do it the other way. So the alternative will be the usual lifestyle, I would say.
Right. So it will become a norm for people to be sustainable.
Absolutely. No other option.
Yeah. Okay. You touched upon this subject a little earlier also, but I would like to know, highlight this. So economy, environment, and social are the 3 pillars of sustainable development. But how do you balance economic viability with the environmental projects?
Okay. So the first thing is to go back to what I have already said. You have environmental business and you have waste management. Waste management business as a standalone activity usually all over the world targets net profit, targets revenues.
Yeah.
While governments, social entities, environmental organizations are looking for one KPI, clean environment. Without the economic part, looking at it as financing and legislative activities, I think our target is not achievable. But by combining all together in an economic model would make the most sense. So this can happen by talking to people, talking to organizations, showing people the real cost. By, for example, promoting and magnifying some of the very fundamental aspects, like when you have a city that has a landfill that somehow became in the middle of the city. And now you ask them a question. How will you deal with this issue? How much it would cost you if you decide to take it from here, move it 10 kilometers there? Billions. Billions. How much do you need to invest to ensure that all this land is already suitable for investment and for commercial or residential activities? Hundreds of millions. How long do you need to accomplish that? 5, 10 years. Then you ask people, imagine that you have never built this landfill 10 years or 20 years ago. How much economic value, how much revenues, how much benefits would this piece of land would have been bringing as we speak now? People start to realize this. And part of my study and part of my economic and scientific research was focusing on these points. So by bringing this forward, we see the change in the trend. By education, we see that the young generation, as they grow, are changing perspective. They understand our language now because we talk about it too much. We invest in this generation.
Yeah.
And by doing all this together, and by having the iron forged determination of the government of Sharjah, of our leadership, we are, I would say, almost, let's say, 5 seconds to be there.
Yeah. Thanks for mentioning about your research. I was going to ask you about that. Congratulations on your doctorate in economics of operations, right? Sorry, economics of organizations. What motivated you to pursue a doctorate, and why this field particularly?
Okay, first of all, I have been learning all my life, and I'm still learning as we speak. So you never stop learning. Otherwise, what I always tell my team is that if you stop, you're actually moving back. Because if you stop, others are moving forward, and relatively, you're moving backward. So you don't have option. You need to cope with your surrounding environment in this world of competition. You need to keep moving forward. So this is about studying. Now, when it comes to economics, in the last 15 years, it became evident for me that the financial aspect is not enough to build or to convince all the supply chain participants that you need to change waste management, let's say, waste management approach and targets. Because finance is talking about how banks deal with money and how business should adapt to ensure that what you do is bankable and banks will approve, disapprove, etc. Legislation is also, as standalone, not the full approach yet, because legislation is about enforcement. So I force you to do this, you find your way around it.
Yeah,
that's life. That's life. And having ambitious targets means that you don't have time to keep doing this and modifying laws, etc. Many people don't understand that economics actually is a social science. So when I realized that, I said, stop. So I I did my general management program in Cambridge.
Yeah.
I did my lead program in Stanford. Finance was not the answer. But when a professor in Cambridge said, I'm an economist, I was like, wait a minute, there is such science. And then I asked him directly, what's the difference between finance and economics? He said economics is the art of utilizing all the available resources to the best benefit of society. And then it clicked, which means that finance and legislation are derivatives from economics. I started making several interviews in several universities, explaining what I do, explaining that I want to combine this with economics. And I found a very hardworking professor that told me, look, what you're saying is interesting. I don't understand waste management. I will be dependent fully on you. But when it comes to economics and how this align with the fundamentals of economics, I'm ready to help. Now we ended up having like 17 or 18 different publications and a very useful, I think, from my perspective, dissertation that is already been discussed in the parliament of the country that
Wow.
I submitted my
Ukraine, is it?
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So where do you find time for all this? Like you have a full-time job, which is very demanding also, and then you are pursuing your other interests besides this. How do you find time? Do you have a time strategy, time management strategy of sort?
Honestly, I think that any person who pursues success has to be a good manager all the day, from waking up till going back to bed. So you have to be managing your time throughout the day. But I am unfortunately prioritizing sometimes the growth activities, my personal growth activities, rather than, for example, going for a cup of coffee with one of the friends.
Right.
And I hope this will change. Not foreseeing this for the next 5 to 10 years. So as I told you, I just keep learning.
Okay. You like to keep yourself busy.
Yeah.
Do you have any other interests like hobbies or?
Yes, I have the time to to go to the gym. I do sports, of course. Now I read a lot because after my PhD, I find a lot of time that, from my perspective, has to be utilized. I read books, and I have more than 15 books queuing to be read, and that's how I keep.
Can I ask you, what are you reading now? Not necessarily
Right
the name
now,
of
the
the
book that I have in hand is The Psychology of the Crowd.
Of the?
Christopher Le Bon. It was written, I think, in the 19th century.
Wow. Psychology of what?
Of the crowd.
Crowd.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Let me go and check it out. So the aim of this podcast is to inspire more youngsters to enter the field of environment. So do you have any advice for them from your years of experience? If you could share your thoughts.
I would prioritize a few, if you allow me.
Yeah.
The first thing is, I would like all the young generation to understand that there is no specialty that is about environment. So I know there is a trend to be environmental engineer, environmental scientist, environmentalist. I know all this, okay? But what I want to say is that each field of science can serve the environment. If you're a biologist and you would like to look into an organic solution to tackle plastics, you're already an environmentalist. If you are a power engineer and you are looking for more sustainable engine to produce electricity, you're already an environmentalist. I am surprised to see a lot of people graduating as environmental scientists, and then when we sit on the same table, I just start to ask, what is it? What do you know? And I find bits and pieces, different topics, but together they don't make sense. I find it very unsatisfying to see that the young generation knows about solar power, but cannot explain to you what a solar panel is made of.
Right.
And here we go back to the fundamentals. We said that finance is not a fundamental science from my perspective. Philosophy, economy, math, physics, biology will create change, because this is where the innovation starts. It doesn't start from starting on your computer and using a software. This is not, you are using the effort and the innovation of others. Living in the UAE, knowing that the vision is not to be a consumer, knowing that the vision is to create something within and export it outside, means that we have to go back to the fundamentals. A mathematician who is working on an algorithm to improve AI that would study and give more comprehensive information about the environment of a city is already an environmentalist. So the first thing is, please, people, young generation, don't follow trend. Everybody can be an environmentalist from his own science field. The country, the region, we need people who know the fundamental science to initiate the innovation. We need that more than users. Otherwise, we will keep importing solutions, teaching our engineers and people to use it. This is one. Number two, always remember, if you're sitting in a place, fulfilling your job marvelously, wonderfully, year after year, without having to put too much effort, you're not challenged. Your life should be every day growing up to a challenge. Compensation will come. If not from the place where you are, from other places, because you will be noticed very soon, especially in a country like UAE, for example, or the Gulf. No talent stays unnoticed.
Right.
So keep growing up to a challenge. Don't think that you are lucky by living a very relaxing life, having too much time to watch football, having too much time to go out with friends. It's important. But if this is happening, everything around you is happening without efforts, you're frozen. You're standing in your place. You've been beaten by your competitors, and very soon you will realize that you have lost a lot and you will not be able to catch up. And as I said, motivation will come. I see a lot of young generation putting the financial incentive ahead without offering any without offering being ready to accept a challenge, which is not good and not the right approach. Please keep yourself challenged.
Right. What are your next big goals for BR Recycling, and how do you aim to address them, achieve it?
As a CEO of this small organization in a big body, we are making BR Recycling as a brand that is overarching a combination of activities to reach zero waste. We have succeeded in penetrating some markets here in the Emirates and outside. The next step is to ensure that we start embracing innovation and digital transformation within the activities. We are good at what we're doing. The next 10 years will be challenging. And as I said, we keep ourselves challenged. We know that digitalization and digital world is almost there.
Right.
It's not a very far future. So now we continue to do what we are doing. We convert our activities into a brand, one big label. So we show you, this is what you get, okay? And we digitally transform our business.
It was very inspiring and enriching for me. I'm sure our audience will also feel the same. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.